Mercedes-Benz, inventors of the car and responsible for countless innovations in the 130 or so years since. Things that seem normal to us now, like crumple zones, airbags or anti-lock brakes. Mercedes were the first to bring all of those to our production road cars. But that's not to say that all of their innovations caught on. Remember the joystick-controlled F400 concept? No, of course you don't. And the car that we're going to be discussing today is from that same F-series of experimental concept cars during the 90s and the 2000s, the F400 Carving. And its innovation, well, it sort of caught on and sort of didn't. Allow me to explain. Unveiled at the 2001 Tokyo Motor Show, the F400 Carving is certainly a unique looking thing. The design you see was the winner of a competition that Mercedes ran within their 3 design studios in Japan, Germany and the USA. To me it looks like a rather displeased bug staring at you from outside your window, but to be fair to the designers, they were constrained by the sheer amount of technology that had to be incorporated. Fancy fibre optic headlights, steering by wire and carbon ceramic brakes all featured, but none of them were the F400's party trick. That would go to Mercedes' active camber control, which allowed the 2 outside wheels to tilt up to 20 degrees going through a corner for extra grip, like a downhill skier would tilt their skis to achieve a faster turn. They call that carving, hence the car's name. It used onboard sensors to calculate how much to lean the car over, and then the electronically controlled suspension would cooperate. And it actually worked. During parent company Daimler Chrysler's tests, the car pulled 1.28 G on the skid pad, or about 30% more than anything else on the road at the time. It also improved braking distances to a similar degree, with the active camber system immediately engaging during an emergency stop. While sure, that's a great move by the ever safety conscious Mercedes, one could imagine that seeing the wheels suddenly fold out on you during a life or death scenario might induce some brown trouser moments all of its own. Now while Mercedes didn't think of that, they did think about tyres. Because all this negative camber stuff is great, but with more camber comes more tyre wear. Ask any amateur race driver or stance bro and they'll tell you that. Thankfully, the F400 Carving had specially designed Pirelli tyres. 8 of them, in fact. Well, sort of. On the outside sat a 19-inch tyre that would be touching the road most of the time during normal driving, and the compound of that was pretty much identical to Pirelli's road-going P0 tyre. But then on the inside there was a smaller 17-inch tyre with a special grippier compound for when the car was leaning over. So when the car's tilted, you get more contact patch, more grip, but when it's not, you don't have to wear the tyre because that part of the tyre won't be touching the ground. The best of both worlds, in theory. Under the bonnet, however, was much more conventional. Mercedes' familiar 3.2 litre V6, kicking out about 215 horsepower to the rear wheels via a 6-speed automated manual gearbox. The 0-60 time was quoted as 6.9 seconds and a top speed of 150 miles an hour. Although at that speed, I think a proper helmet would be advisable, not whatever the hell they were wearing in the press photos.
If a blue bottle flies over the top of the windscreen at that speed and hits you in the middle of your forehead, it'll go straight through its own arse.
Speaking of inside the car though, it's accessed through butterfly doors, because concept car, but it actually looks very classy in contrast to the futuristic exterior. It's very minimal with just the aero screen, some aluminium and a 4-point harness for company. Mercedes consistently referred to this car as a rolling laboratory study, and as such there was no production intent here. Squint and you'll see styling cues that would perhaps preview the upcoming generation SLK, which came out in 2004. But really, that's about it. The Mercedes-Benz F400 Carving gets 2 blue bottles out of 5. Amazingly, for a car that looks as wild as this one, the styling was the boring bit. So what about that technology? Did it go anywhere? Well, sort of, but not until 13 years later, when the Mercedes S-Class Coupe launched. That car also used sensors to scan the road ahead and tilt the suspension up to 2.5 degrees for it to lean into the corners, just to minimise body roll. And then in 2020, the Mercedes F1 team had their DAS, or dual axis steering system, and that allowed the drivers to manually adjust the alignment of the front wheels from within the cockpit by pulling the steering wheel to and fro. A genius idea to help with the all-important tyre wear and tyre temperatures, albeit one that was maybe too good because it was immediately banned for the following year. To claim that was a result of the F400 carving is tenuous at best, but hey, trivia. But that was the story of how Mercedes combined safety and skiing. If only they told Michael Schumacher. Thanks for watching.